I'd like to call to order Board of Education meeting for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. Are there any speakers related to closed session topics? The board will convene to closed session. The board will now convene an open session and report out the closed session. Live streaming on YouTube will begin now for open session of the Board of Education meeting. The Earl for YouTube live streaming may be found on the NHUSD Board of Education webpage. If you're joining us online via the Zoom webinar and you'd like to provide a comment for this meeting, you may do so by utilizing the raise your hand option in Zoom, or if you are calling in by phone, press *9 and wait to be called. Community members may still provide public comments to the board prior to each meeting via email at publiccomment@nhosd.k12.ca.us. There were no comments provided to the board for tonight's meeting via public comment email address. I would like to remind the public that we are not going to be responding to questions posed by those making public comments. Relative to closed session items 3.1 through 3.3, there was no action taken by the board. Relative to closed session item 3.4, the board in closed session unanimously appointed Jesse Welcomer as principal to Cyril Elementary. I will now hand the meeting over to Vice President Kumar, who will preside over agenda.
Thank you, President Nishihiro. Will the audience please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Good evening.
Here.
For Valerie.
Present.
Buffet.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Kumar.
Here.
Nishihiro.
Here.
May I have a motion and second to approve tonight's agenda?
I would like to move to approve the agenda with the addition of a single item for right before the land acknowledgement for the retirement retirement acknowledgement.
Seconded. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
Aye.
For Valerie.
Aye.
Buffet.
Yeah.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Kumar.
Aye.
Nishihiro.
Aye.
Can I have a volunteer to read out the land acknowledgement? Trustee. We want to open this meeting up by acknowledging with respect and love that the land we are on today is the traditional ancestral homeland of the Ohlone Chochenyo First People. We recognize and thank the Ohlone people as the original stewards of this land. Indigenous people must not be spoken about in the past context, as if they left on their own accord when the real causes were white supremacy, manifest destiny, and U.S. colonization. By recognizing we stand on the occupied indigenous territory of the Ohlone people, we recommit ourselves to listen to Native leadership and stand in solidarity with people struggling against systems of oppression throughout the world, past and present. Thank you, Trustee Mannery. Back to you, President Machine.
Okay, well, we're going to take this time to acknowledge one of everybody's favorite person, Lori Valdez, who is going to be retiring. This is going to be Lori's last meeting, and she's probably squirming over there. But what a lot of people don't really understand is she's really what makes this board function and work. So so the board and staff wanted to give her some tokens of appreciation, and if anybody on the board would like to say a couple of words about Lori. Trustee Mallory.
Unless you want to reverse. Okay. What can I say? Lori Valdez has been here through 3 superintendents. And she's trained each one of them very well. And she's been through a even bigger number of new trustees. And when I first was elected, if it wasn't for Lori, I would have been completely lost. And most of the time I would be completely lost, whether it's making sure that I could get dinner before a board meeting, or you know, that I turn in my things on time. Lori is the absolute best, and having been in the administrative profession for years myself, Lori is literally the best executive assistant I've ever worked with in any of my careers and any of my jobs. So we're really going to miss you a lot. You have big shoes to fill, and we really, really appreciate you. And really hope that you enjoy the heck out of retirement, because you deserve it. After what we've been here through.
Anybody else? No pressure. Safe.
Lori, I'd like to thank you for everything that you've been helping me with. I'm totally new to the system and everything, and I text you and email you as soon as I do it, I get the response for you, and thank you very much. I could not have done without you. Thanks.
Lori is the best executive assistant I've ever worked with, and the only one actually. But you're on it though, so yeah, it's been a pleasure, and it's been a blink of an eye that you're already gonna retire. It seems like you're just getting to orient myself with you and get to know you, and then you're gonna be gone. So I'm kind of here sad. But you know, it's kind of a sad meeting for me, and I miss you. And could I yield my time to former trustee Linda Conless? Sure. No.
Did you want to say something?
If you did, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for putting you on the spot.
Wait a minute, being here for 2 hours. I just want to say that the first time I met Lori, some of you heard the story already. She was looking for me at a conference and she couldn't find me, and when she found me, she's the person she said was, before I even met her, "You're short." Else you heard about me, but if those 8,000 people, plus people made me look tall, I guess. So Lori, I've worked with Lori for over 12 years. And she really runs the district. And she is effective, she's efficient, she answers emails and on Saturdays and Sundays, and I've learned not to send my emails so far the first, after I found out that she will answer no matter what time. So then I got to a point where I said, okay, this is for Mondays, don't answer today. And she still does. She answers on Saturday and Sunday. I have a habit of doing email sometimes at 2 in the morning, because that's when I'm really awake and I have energy not rested. And I've learned not to send a text. I've learned to send an email and put a note that says for Monday. So this is the person that really made us all look good, because she is so efficient. And I'm so happy that she's retiring and she's now joining our club, the retired people club, where every day is a Saturday. Have a nice retirement.
Thank you.
And by the way, I just realized you all work for me now.
All right. Vice President Moore.
Hey, Lori, I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's been only 6 months, but the onboarding process was seamless, thanks to you, and you made it so easy. Lori's amazing, you all heard, but one thing that I'll never forget, Superintendent Thompson and I were on a Zoom meeting on a one-on-one, and we just talked about, I wonder if we could find a map of, and the next thing we know, it's in our inbox. And it's amazing how Lori does it. Thank you so much, Lori. You are beyond amazing.
Thank you. And when I joined in 2016, everything was new to me. And I can say that the reason why I got through the first term was because of Lori, because Lori has this way of saying, don't worry about it. We got it taken care of. Even though everything might be falling apart. I got it. Don't worry about it. So we've got a certain amount of confidence, maybe a little overconfident now that we know everything, because we've had Lori there kind of as a backstop. And one of the examples that I think that Trustee Kumar mentioned, I have another example where I was in a one-on-one with the superintendent, and we wanted some information back from 2008. And in that meeting, we haven't asked her about it, and then that day, about 20 minutes later, she printed it out and put it on her desk, and I said, I can't even find my keys, let alone documents that were done in 2008. So you are going to be missed. You're not just an efficient EA, you're a great person. And I, for one, am gonna miss you. And I don't get emotional, so I'm just gonna pass it on to the superintendent.
Well, over the past 4 years, I think it was worked more closely with Lori than I have. Gina may be pretty close, but, and I've had the benefit of working over the past 30 years with different assistant superintendents in multiple districts, and Lori's at the top of the top. When I've done things right, it's usually because you can see Lori's fingerprints around it, and when I screw things up, it's usually because I forgot to ask Lori for her advice. So, no pressure, Gina, moving forward. No, but I know Lori well enough. I'm gonna miss her tremendously, but I know also that I'm gonna hold her to the fact that she said that she will be available for us. So I think we'll still have a little bit of a backstop, and with Gina and I will, and the board as we're moving forward. But we're all really appreciative, Lori, me and especially.
And I apologize, but I'm sorry, trustee Mott.
I first remember sending my report like the weekend before my first meeting. And with like multiple questions, and then Ms. Walters responded like, I think a few minutes later, which I didn't expect, because it was the weekend. I was like, oh wow. But her email was really welcoming and really nice, and I really wanted to thank her for all her hard work and being a vital piece in this board's functioning, and I wish you a happy retirement.
So come on up, we've got some stuff for you. Oh, actually, you want to do that? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are we all going?
Yeah, sure. No pressure, Gina.
It's gonna be great. It's not gonna take my number 12 months.
So on behalf of a grateful district, thank you so much for your several just years of outstanding service. We love you and we're gonna miss you. All right. Actually, look over here.
First, look over here. Then you can-
First, look over here. All right, hold on, let's give it.
Okay. Yes, we need to. Oh, yes. You're not gonna. Hours. Yes.
And the phrase is inscribed, it says, with our greatest appreciation, Lori Valdez, thank you for your decades of outstanding service and support. May this new chapter in your life be filled with wonderful memories. Knowing that your efforts at New Haven Unified School District contributed to the success of thousands of students and staff. Current wishes. You have anything you want to say?
I just have to say that it's the job I highly recommend. I love what I've done and love everybody I work with, and it's, thank you very much. Oh my God.
Okay. That's all. All right, moving on to 6.1. Are there any blue cards for topics that are not on the agenda?
We have one blue card.
Okay, I would like to, like a point of privilege to possibly, more ordinarily, we give speakers 2 minutes, but we only have 1 speaker today, so, 3 minutes to give, okay? Yeah, okay, 3 minutes.
Okay, and that's Ms. Lord.
That's better. Hi, everyone. I'm Tiffany Lord. My daughter, is in 3rd grade. She attends Heroes Elementary. She's in the Spanish, dual immersion program. There are quite a few incidents I would like to discuss today. On March 27th, my daughter was told by another student that all Black people are bad and that she was, going to be killed by this student. I received no phone call from the principal. I was told that she could not call me because she had a meeting. The next day I came to the district to speak to someone. I was sent away with the bullying complaint form. I completed the form that day. My form was addressed about a week later. Of the form that I needed to schedule an appointment with the principal and create a safety plan for my child because she was threatened. On April 8th, we made a safety plan with the principal. The plan it consisted of 5 teachers that my daughter could go to if she ever felt unsafe, or if any other incidents occurred. I was assured that the staff that was involved would be informed immediately. Incident 2 happened on April 19th. My child and her friends were threatened. They were called the A word and the N word on the playground by 2 other students. My daughter was investigated by the principal and noticed a lot of things that day. My child gave the principal the exact details of what happened and what she saw. The principal was trying to convince her to change the narrative of her story through tricky wordings. Later on, my child realized that one of the boys in the incident who did not say the N word was told to apologize to her for saying the N word. The narrative of that story was changed. Incident number 3 on April 20th, my child and her friends were threatened by a boy in PE class. He said his uncle kills kids for bragging and that he would come up there and kill my daughter and her friends. My child was taken to the office as discussed in the safety plan. The assistant principal turned her away and told her that she was not involved in the incident. My child was not listened to at all and the safety plan was not followed. The following day, I discussed my child's safety plan with her teacher that's on the safety plan, and the teacher knew nothing of the safety plan. When confronting the principal, she assured that everyone knew about the safety plan. I quickly informed her that my child's teacher, who was on the safety plan, knew nothing. She apologized immediately. Me as a parent, I honestly do not appreciate the lies and manipulation that goes on with this principal. My trust has been completely lost. 4th incident, April 21st, when playing with a group of friends.
What I would recommend is send an email to public comment if you want to have it. We all read it, so if you do have that email address, we can get it to you, but you could send the entire thing there and we will read it.
Okay,
Thank you.
how do I get the email?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Just send it out.
Got it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Okay, are there any other speakers?
No speakers.
Okay. All right, moving on to 7.1, are there any blue cards or topics that are on the agenda? All right. Moving on to 8.1, are there any representatives from CSEA that would like to provide a public report? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 8.2. Are there any representatives from NHGA that would like to provide a report?
Good evening, President Ciara, Vice President Kumar, Trustee, Student Trustee Dr. Thompson, District staff, folks in the gallery and at home. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to kind of share with you some of the things that are going on with NHGA. one of the first things I do want to follow up and say thank you for moving forward with our Social Justice Academy. I know it was a difficult thing. I did have a follow-up conversation with Dr. Thompson, understand the next piece of moving forward. So I appreciate that. And also I want to recognize the next step in this summer program, the fact that we're moving to expand opportunities for knowledge and training for teachers who have a passion for this kind of education, awareness for students at the elementary level. I do want to kind of just say, because of the mix of getting it started, did have an impact on getting folks ready to be involved. So I'm hoping there could be some consideration, because I know deadlines and deadlines, but as you know, because of the delay in getting this off the ground, it does have an impact perhaps on getting students and teachers on board to kind of be part of this whole next step for this program that we all want to have completed in the way we're kind of talking about education at all levels, elementary, middle school, and high school. So I appreciate your attention on that. The other thing I wanted to share is the fact that one of the things that we've done this year in a very big collaboration with the district and Dr. Thompson and the staff from the beginning is, as we moved in from the pandemic and all the different health awareness in the classroom, obviously the understanding what a clean classroom is sometimes gets lost in the explanation and understanding. So we work very closely with the district to try to understand what that means. We found out that some of the conversations got lost in the conversation. And so because of that, we NHCA kind of put them on ourselves to kind of do some things, kind of get a good clarification. That turned out really well. And because it was able to kind of get an understanding at all sites, what teachers can expect for classrooms at the different levels. Obviously, elementary has a different need than middle school and high school because of the way they move with students and the way students are presented in the classroom. So we appreciate getting that understanding. But it also leads to the thing I really want to again say thank you for is the fact that during that same conversation, we got a chance to understand why there's a kind of a hiccup in the understanding when teachers and other staff put in a request for a concern about a classroom environment. They put in a work order. We found out very clearly that some of those work orders get lost in the shuffle, sometimes never get answered in a timely fashion. And again, not saying anything to blame, it was just a system that had to be looked at. I want to say I want to appreciate that in recent weeks, I was part of the conversation with Jason from M&O about looking at vendors to present a new system on being awareness for teachers to be very much involved in the process of what they see needs to be looked at in their classrooms. I look forward to that program getting put out and hoping to get it in place by next fall. But I think it's very well intended for us to be seeing where different things are needed for that whole collaboration and understanding how things should work and should be implemented at the classroom. So appreciate on that one. And then of course, I think we all know, moving back to the famous, and I'm going to date myself with some of the folks here, for the marching on days, which Scott is going to get a crazy smile on that one. But the New Haven Days we just celebrated came out just as we hoped it would. I was able to attend and see the action, so to speak. Looking forward to that continued tradition, and I know it's already on the calendar for next year, and kind of getting into different context of moving forward. With that in mind, obviously we know that Prop 28, which is designed for extra enhanced funding for those areas, are in play. I know as anything, legislation takes a little while to get things up off and running for what that means. So we are looking forward to working with Dr. Thompson and the staff, Scott and Scott predecessor, Ms. Stevens, to kind of look at how we can kind of be involved in kind of developing and enhancing a program that we already been celebrated for years here in New Haven, the Fine Arts program, which has been kind of a jewel for New Haven, because as you know, around us, some of these programs fell to the whole funding issue. So we are looking forward to this conversation in Prop 28. And lastly, I did want to say, as you know, one of our biggest concerns is working with special ed students and the programs they have and needed to be delivered. From the very beginning this year, we felt the need for, there's some things that we think are gaps in that service. We've been working throughout the year to kind of try to get some ideas how to solve it. We are now currently, especially the elementary school teachers, have gotten together to kind of figure out another collaborative model on how they can control some proposals on how this thing can be helped for next year. We'd rather not start it next year in full preparation because things are missing. We'd like very much to be involved in that kind of planning and therefore to continue the process. But I just want to mention that, so there's, again, the conversation is open. We just want to make sure that we kind of give attention to it, because obviously starting up the school year with kind of a minus piece doesn't help going forward. So we look forward to that conversation and collaboration for some of the proposals, for those folks who kind of see what happens Monday through Friday and where some of the gaps are. And then last, I gotta say myself, I gotta say congratulations to Lori from me, as well as, the teachers. I've worked with Lori for many years, and the great thing about Lori, which has been kind of a standstill for her since we met, is the fact that what they say, the streets and students, especially from Logan, she's real. There's nothing about it that's gonna say you have to wonder about. And I say that because, I've had a chance to work with her through the great times to the most extreme times. And during all those times, it's always been the real presence of her, that it's not about it should have, it's about the relationship that we have moving forward. And that's one of the things that I think Lori brings wherever she goes. So I look forward to hearing her adventures, where she goes with these new relationships that she's gonna have and her fun and stuff like that. But I will miss the greeting when I come in for my meeting with Dr. Thompson. She is the coffee girl that can say, hey, Joe, what you need. So I appreciate it. And I will forever think of you for the famous coffee time at the superintendent's office, because you made a tradition. So Gina, you're on the blank now, so you feel that coffee legacy. So with that in mind, congratulations on your retirement. I look forward to your stories. So thank you, folks.
Thank you, President. All right, moving on to 9.1. We have an update from our food services director, Jans.
Thank you, Frank. So good evening, and thank you for having me. Trustees, I've been looking forward to this presentation and looking forward to meeting everyone. And I think I've met everyone today so far. Mike and I earlier in the year, but it was a pleasure to meet everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed the food. So like I said, everything that you ate there, that's it's bought with USDA commodity dollars. It's the food that we serve the kids. So this is the cycle. I hope you enjoyed it. We're doing a quick update, won't take too much of your time. So my name is Yaz Ojapala. I run the Food and Nutrition Services Department at New Haven Unified. And yeah, we're gonna do a big update. I'll talk about what we've done this year, the year before, and give you a slight overview of what was happening during the peak COVID. All right. So real quick, the way my department is set up, obviously a director, a supervisor right under me, who also acts as a chef. I'm going to call them planning ideas. 2 managers, 2 drivers, 2 office staff, 13 cafe leads stationed at each of the schools, have 2 alone, and then 25 cafe assistants. So all in 44 permanent staff, and also have 4 cafe subs. I think there's more, but currently I have 4 cafe subs, but they rotate people on absent. So topics we're going to cover, 5 important topics. We'll talk about the state review that was conducted back in 2019, 2000 pre-COVID, 2018, 19. And then we'll go over financials, current improvements that we're doing, and improvements that we did to the department last year, future plans for the department that I have, and then finally SB 1383, so only the food recovery component. SB 1383 is the bill that was recently passed. There's a small piece to it that I'm responsible for. So. All right, so pre-COVID, FICMAT was brought in. The department was in, some sort of, I would say, disarray. It was in what they would call a fiscal crisis. So this team was brought in to identify problems and to prevent them. I believe the board report went out on the dates right there, May 18th, 2020. So I think some of you were here in the third off of the issues that the department was having. So I'm going to briefly go over the things that I pulled out and identified as serious problems that they also identified. And in all honesty, these are things I could have identified in the first probably month I was here. But it's good, it was already prepared for it. So first and foremost, that this is the big one, that is spending on coaching $1 million. For the most part, you're always going to have some sort of encroachment, especially when it comes to schools with this type of size. But having elementary schools, typically it's not that high. Elementary schools, believe in money because the kids eat. So that was, that's the biggest issue that we identified. There was no automated inventory system. We corrected that. We do have one now. There was outdated equipment. We corrected that. We have our equipment. Notably, our cooling equipment is all up to date now. Food safety, there's no HACCP plan. That was identified not by FitMed, but also when we hire internal audit auditor in the state. That was incorrect that we have right now. And then the meal timings are outdated. It's been corrected last year. Unpaid meal charges was brought up, but as you know, it's universal meals, so that kind of corrected itself. Wellness policy, we weren't really involved in the wellness committee. I'm now a member of the wellness committee. Competitive foods, clubs, DoorDash, special events. So yes, this kind of still does go on occasionally. I will occasionally go to Logan and I'll sit at the front office, DoorDash, I'll be in the parking lot, Uber Eats is pulling up. I will continue to email admins and let them know that it's not allowed to bring outside, of course, that's the reason, and that's one of them. Special events. Just so we're clear, we're not really allowed to have outside food come in, so you can't really bring in taco trucks that, the lumpia lady that's over at Colony that comes in to sell the fried lumpia, that's not really allowed either. That's also been corrected. But for the most part, it does occasionally happen, and we do our best to stop it, but kids are gonna do these and they do these. Staffing and labor, there was excessive staffing back in pre-COVID and even during COVID. I'm all for increased participation and keeping staffing the way it is. However, when we're overstaffed and we want to fill the hours are excessive, there needs to be corrections, and that was corrected last year. Training and oversight, there was really no staff training, there's no get-togethers to discuss training. And that's been corrected with the new shepherd at Hart. He goes around and does a lot of the cooking training with the staff. And that's it for the picking act review. So all of the things that I mentioned have been corrected, and those were the main points. And that was during my first year here, that was the focus. So we'll head right into financials. So like I said, in the past, the contribution was encroaching at $1 million. We're now encroaching around 150,000, and that's a little bit less. So why did it go down so much? Not only the corrections that I did in the Big Mac, but obviously universal meal tickets everyone's eating, or have the potential to eat. So participation went up. We changed the menu, so it's more appealing to kids. The participation went up because of that. And we also got a lot of grant funding. In the past, I noticed that there were opportunities for grants that we never really went after. But me personally, I make sure that every grant opportunity that we have, we're going after for it. And yeah, that all resulted in increased participation. So we'll see lunch participation of 503% since pre-COVID, and then breakfast participation of 25% since pre-COVID. But we have a long ways to go. The breakfast should be a lot higher, and lunch can be higher as well. So program fund development. So I mentioned grants, right? So last year's grants totaled about $314,000, and these were grants specifically for either food and equipment. And then this year it's going to be a lot more. So on the right side, you'll see all the grants that I applied for. So far, the ones in Maine we received. I think one I just received a couple of days ago, so we're at 800,000 right now. And we have 4 more that I'm pretty sure we're going to get. So hopefully that number will get with me. So there's a lot of money out there to capture. We just really need to go after it. Departmental improvements. So other than the Big Mac correction, what did we do like this past year, right? So many improvements. We increased the scratch cooking, and that's a huge thing for me. When I was actually interviewed, one of the things that I asked is whether or not this is scratch cooks. And I made it clear that one of the biggest goals I would have would be to increase the scratch rate. I'm not really a fan of thinking of that pop pockets and all that. Unfortunately, we still do in elementary school, but that's something I want to eventually take out. So we brought back a lot of the scratch cooking. Most of it right now is in middle school and high school. We brought back the salad bars, the fruit bars. What you see there in that picture was actually part of our Heritage Month celebrations. I believe that was celebrating Cedar Chavez. So we got different fruits and vegetables. You don't see the vegetable there, but it's on the other salad bar. Honoring the farmers. Well, speaking of the Heritage Months, we tailor our food to each of those months. So for example, Arab History Month, we did hummus and pita chips. And for, I think it was Filipino Heritage Month, I think it was earlier last year, we did a Filipino food salad. And even like things like Cinco de Mayo and things like nachos or churros for the students. So we kind of incorporate the foods with not only the heritage ones, but with their education, with the schooling too. So for example, when we did the thing on Cedar Chavez, we had a full bio up. And so kids are asking why we have this stuff, and we explain to them, you know, the history of Cedar Chavez and what we did. We also contracted with local food vendors. Domino's seems to be extremely popular. The kids love it. It's not really what we like at the end of the day. It's like right. So we're continuing with Domino's. Alicia's Tamales. That's a local food vendor. We had a couple pop-ups with her at Cedar Chavez and IBC. We're very successful. We're going to be many more items next year. And Let's Go Vending is a vending machine company. So I took all of the a la cartes, all of the snacks out of the lines because it was bogging up the lines. I moved all the snacks to the vending machine. That way you don't have, you know, a student in line waiting to just get bag chips. You know, if you want something quick, they can go to the vending machine and get it. And when kids in line can go to the buildings. Revamp the snack machines. Oh, and then we on special occasions like St. Patrick's Day or like Halloween or Christmas, we do like these special cookies for the kids and whatnot. So we tailor the holidays to the food as well. CSA relations from my perspective improved greatly. It was a little rocky at first, but working with Derek, working with Robin, working with Liz. Robin and Liz are the CSA reps. It's been great. It's been smooth. I actually go to them to help me with staff issues that really come up. CSBA member hours have increased to the point where, when I say increased, I mean at one point we had 1 or 2 hour positions relative to I mean, it's understandable because if lunch is only an hour long. But it was an odd position because people would only be in it for a short amount of time and then want to leave. I mean, who wants to really work an hour a day? It's not really it's not a position you can rely on. So I can confidently say, proudly say that all of my staff have access to benefits. They're at least 3 hours. I don't think that's happening very much. Positions in hiring, we smoothed out the hiring process. It was very hard to hire staff because of certain tests. But we worked out something with HR and CSBA where it's easier to bring in and hire staff. And then training and team building, that again, it never really occurred before I was here. We brought that in, and that really brought the staff together. They saw me, they saw the chef, they saw the manager, and they really they appreciate it. Then we do other things like CPR training, like we did about, right? I think there was an incident back in, I want to say in October, where a child choked on a carrot. I want to say, yeah, it was one of those oblong shaped carrots. So the first thing we did, we took out the oblong shaped carrots and put it out for something else because I mean, it literally looks like something it's designed for some children. So we switched that out. And I said, let's have a CPR training. I mean, you know, why not? Someone's choking now, they know what to do. So then I'll move into programs. So next year we're going to a program called Provision 2. It's a little complex and complicated, so I won't get into it that much. But we completed the base year this year, meaning next year we'll start this provision. Now, what's some good things about this? It means we don't have to fill up annual application, we don't have to do verification, all those free. We're in good standing with Division 2 for 4 years. Another caveat I just discovered is that, during the pandemic, EBT cards were given out to those who were on the free and reduced lunch program during the summer and actually throughout the year. Division 2 actually allows us to go to everyone. So this summer, and I just clarified this with the DDE because even I was a little skeptical. This summer, everyone except the graduating students will be receiving an EBT card in the amount of $150. So we just need to make sure that. And then income surveys, income surveys is something that kind of replaces meal applications because we traditionally use meal applications for free and reduced eligibility for supplemental Title I funding for money. But parents don't want to fill out meal applications anymore because I'm going to do this free. So we came up with income forms. I worked with John Maddox, Brent, and Marcus's team. We developed a very good process, which is going to perfect itself even more next year, in which we can get parent income data to come in for the payments monies. I'm somewhat, I wouldn't say nosy, but I like to talk to other directors in the Bay Area. We're kind of a tight-knit group, not just the Bay Area, I'd say local. And I can confidently say that we did a very good job with these income surveys. And I can also say there are some districts that kind of dropped the ball and lost a lot of funding because they didn't really focus on it. So I hope that the process now. Thank you. That's it. Working conditions improved. Like I said, we replaced all the cooling and building. Dish machine upgrade is a grant out that the government has put out. I'm applying for that. Hopefully get it at the 2 middle schools and at the high school. More of the equipment is going to be a focus for next year. I'm going to change out these ovens, get some combi ovens in. I'll make sure all the money equipment is functioning properly. And then small rooms. You know, this is catering equipment that we have now. I think it needs to be upgraded, so we're upgrading that as well. So future plans and goals. I think everyone is aware, I just spoke about it, of my main focus, and that's scratch cooking, right? I want scratch cooking, I want breakfast participation to increase a lot. I want lunch participation to increase, especially at Logan. And I want to increase that training. So those are going to be future plans and future goals that's going to be focused on next year. And that quote actually there is from me, and that's something I strongly believe in. Without really investing in the department, right? Without really focusing on food services, looking at our infrastructure, our kitchens, our menu, that ever-changing palette of what kids like. I mean, that changes as time goes, right? We can't keep up with it. They're not going to eat the food if we don't evolve as well. So my focus is to keep up with what they want. So as you all know, there's a new central kitchen. I hope everyone knows there's a new central kitchen popping up at James Logan High School. So the goal here is to finally take the elementary schools that have been, eating the scrap food for a very long time and to scratch cook in this central kitchen. The middle schools and the high schools can do it with the facilities they have, but the elementary schools are very struggle. I mean, they're basically the kitchens are almost glorified closets, and they're very small. So the plan is to scratch cook in the new central kitchen and then cook chill and send them out to the elementary school sites. Now, so James Logan High School, the kitchen. So a little bit about me. I came from high schools. I came from Southern California, 57 high schools. So I'm used to running high school kitchen. The James Logan High School needs improvement. Mike Billy went on a tour, and I think I pointed out some of the areas I'm looking at. So the 3 pictures on the left, you'll see is pictures of the kitchen. The one in the middle and the top left are in the same area. And the 2 pictures on the right are plans of what I want to do to that area. And that might look, relatively very fancy, but that is really the norm. Again, I'm very connected to my colleagues around the Bay Area, and other high schools have that. And that's something that we should have. So all this grant money that's coming in, I want it to be invested to improve infrastructure because I already have the chef. I already have the tools. I have the staff. Staff is great. I can get the food. I can do the training. Without the infrastructure, I really can't do much. So the goals are to improve and to convert Logan into something like that. So that's currently in the works with the designers. We're just waiting for that money to come in. Lastly, so SB 1383, I have a small piece to this that includes food services. There's 6 main points there. I won't read them verbatim. I'm just going to focus on establishing medical food recovery program. And that's, for the most part, that's happening. So what is it? It's really three things: share cards. You'll see those are the exact share cards, by the way, that I'm using. You'll see the child there, the cape on it, which is great. I should get a cape to see this. But the kids actually, I think at Alvarado, the kids have honed in on this. So I work with Stop Waste, and we I shouldn't say we. It's also Jason as well. Thank you, Jason. Stop Waste, myself, we meet together. We train the kids, and it's basically a share cart in which they don't want anything that they will put for lunch. They can put in that cart, and any other child can come to grab it. It's great. Produces food things. I also set up a donation agreement with the Daily Bowl. Thank you, by the way. The Daily Bowl it's relatively hard to set up these agreements. So I'm very thankful to the Daily Bowl for allowing me to set up an agreement with them. It allows me to donate not unwanted, but foods that we cannot use to them. Now, the caveat here is that we don't really have much food to donate because my staff are pretty good at coming up with the right amount of food. However, there are times, like just recently, I received expired snacks that we use for the young adult. Now, we obviously couldn't use the expired snacks, but unfortunately they were chips, and chips you can actually, you can consume in 6 months. Sometimes I think the USDA was at 6 months to a year after their best buy date. So we took that opportunity. I got my refund obviously from the food vendor, and we donated that to the table. So it's a win-win. And that's about it. I highlighted trash-free program because when I left the high school district, I left it trash-free. We only did composting and recycling. I eliminated all the trash, so I hope to do that over here. All those share cards, by the way, are with me, and they're launching this year in the summer. If that is it, that was good. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any comments from the board? We'll start with Trustee Palmer. Yeah, or anybody who has any comment.
I love the presentation. It was very informative. And I can definitely attest to the DoorDash and the experience. I feel like the whole day. I personally wasn't aware that we couldn't get clubs to sell or food trucks on special occasions. Is that, because I know we go through like the whole process, like we do a proposal and like the applicant approves it. Is that like still like, you just can't do it at all?
So there is a caveat to it. The admin just needs to coordinate with me.
So it's still the whole.
Yeah, and I need to make sure that what's being brought in doesn't compete with the program and adheres to the nutritional standards.
Thank you so much for first of all, thank you for your very informative presentation. I remember that the first board meeting that I attended when I was planning to run for school board in 2020 was this particular meeting. And it was very dire a view of our food and nutrition services, and it looks like you've done an Olympian effort of fixing everything. So thank you very much for that. And I love everything you're doing. And I just have the only negative thing I have to say is I went to Syrup Elementary and I ate the school lunch because a parent complained to me about the food. So I took one for the team and I ate the lunch at elementary school. And I got a piece of pizza that was like heated in a plastic bag, which I hope was BPA free because I hope I didn't eat that. And it was, the kids were eating the apple and throwing the pizza away. That's how bad it was. Okay. So I know, I'm with you. I love cooking. I love scratch cooking. I love baking. It's way cheaper from scratch anyway, and it's much healthier, less preservatives in the food. But I'm just wondering, maybe what is the timeline you have in mind of expanding this amazing food you put into place down into our elementary schools? So that our kids are getting, you know, protein and everything that they should be eating instead of just throwing, you know, it was a sad offering, I have to say. The food you made tonight, amazing. The food I had in Snowballs was like on the other end of the spectrum. So, you know, the salad was iceberg sadness that had probably been, you know, didn't look fresh. The apples were not fully ripe. You know, the whole thing was an experience. So I'm just curious when we can expect to see that too.
So it's really the facilities, and I'm hoping the sooner I can get this kitchen up and running, the moment I get it up and running, we're going to eliminate that. Like, we're not going to have those pizzas that are wrapped up. We can make the pizzas in the central kitchen and send it ourselves, right?
Right.
It's just unfortunate facilities that are at no, in my opinion, no real thought went into it when it was being built. It wasn't really built to be efficient, and almost it was just it was built to be a warming facility. But
Yeah.
in regards to the fruit, that can be corrected now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll correct that now. The fruit, should be always fresh. She said that the fruit was.
Yeah, well, the apples are like mealy and not
Yeah.
delicious, and the baby carrots were starting to, you know, get that little whiteness on them where it's like, you know, they're not orange anymore.
You know, that's an exception, that should be corrected.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm just saying my experience, because I actually went and ate the food because someone complained. And every food I've ever had in an event here, and I'm sure the high school food is great and the middle school food is great, and you're doing an amazing job, but that was a particularly bad experience for me.
So maybe we can, talk about running.
Yeah, let's do that, but I know, when's the central kitchen supposed to be ready, do we know?
It's still awaiting approval at the state level.
There we go, so hopefully we can find something in the meantime to improve the elementary school where we're waiting for that approval.
No, definitely agree. The produce, that's an easy correction. I can correct that. And once we speak and figure out what exactly happened, we can correct that.
Yeah.
In regards to the packaged food, yeah, that's gonna take a little bit of thought process. Because ultimately my goal again is this fast cooking. I want it out of the central kitchen. I don't want it in a box and then reheat it.
Yeah.
Just have the facilities.
Yeah, no, and again, not to dump it all on you, this was my one experience at one elementary school, and you've done so much, I don't wanna eclipse that with my comments, but that was my experience at the elementary school level.
No. Okay.
Yeah, so thank you, so we'll talk offline and figure it out. Thanks.
Thanks, trustee Irving.
So, thanks so much for this, totally impressive, presentation, and really impressive the number of grants and like, the staff training and all the, like, you know, the share card, all these things that you introduced is really impressive. And the food today was really good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you for being here so late. I know you have young kids. You gotta get home to. Great presentation. I'm very fortunate though that I got a personal tour with you. Spent a couple hours touring, and the way you kind of laid it out and described your dream for the future, which was in this presentation, did justice, and I was sold, and I believe in your vision to have a jewel like Logan. And then to see the facilities, you know, I mean, very disappointing, and we deserve better. We deserve that. New Haven deserves the best, and so what I recommend to my peers up here, colleagues, is to get a tour and then see the facilities and see what Yaz is pushing there, and so it really needs to happen here. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice President.
Yes, this was incredible. Really happy to see all the improvements. I love the menu improvements, your integration with the wellness committee, I think that's really cool. And I love how you incorporate cultural foods during Heritage Months, I think that was really neat. I love the shared cards. And then I am going to share, I do have 3 kids in the school district. And you have made my life so much easier, because before this, they never wanted to buy school lunches, because school, like school lunch, but now, of late, it's mom, can we get lunch at school? So mom, me wants to thank you. Thank you.
Hey, can I ask what school?
IBC and Littleton. I do have one in Easton, but he still takes,
Yeah.
but 2 out of 3 is a win.
All right, wow, thank you so much for a great presentation. That's especially comparing and contrasting where it was a while ago to where it is now. Thank you for your emphasis on feed scratch cooking. I think that is definitely the direction that we should all be headed. Thanks for calling out SB 1383 as an area for us to focus on. One thing, you know, I had this conversation with my family the other day, also like Vice President Kumar. My wife still continues to do pack lunches. And the reason why is because my student is at Logan. And the issue is, I don't know if this is real or if it's just perceived, but it's like the lines are gonna be so long, I can't actually get to the food by the time my lunch period is, during my lunch period. So that's one thing, that's just the traffic management thing that can be addressed. The thing that I also do want to kind of mention, and you probably already know this, is as we start thinking about possibly, I mean, if we're talking about possibly collapsing sort of this single lunch, like what does that actually do for food service, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actually gonna happen, but it's certainly something that has been talked about.
Yeah.
So I don't expect you to have an answer for it. Just as a heads up that is something that we might have to start thinking about. And then yes, I was just at DC on a federal advocacy trip. I did forward you over a rundown of some federal legislation that is being talked about with regard to extending the funding for universal lunch. So I don't know where that actually is, but there's information to know that you can start with that.
Yeah, no, that's great you mentioned that. I was actually in DC too, and I was lobbying for that same exact legislation for, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have. Yeah.
I just want to thank you, as when I remember when we went through the hiring process and interviewed him, and he articulated this vision, and it's really exciting to start to see it come to fruition. So thank you for all you're doing. It's great work. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. Well, also thank you for dinner. Okay, next is 9.2. We'll have an end of year presentation for the board.
All right, it's hard to believe that another year has gone by. It's hard to believe that we are in the 3rd and final year of our strategic plan. So we have, as we've done the last couple of years, our end of the year update, and we'll get it here going soon. Here we go. All right. So as usual, I'm going to have my team help out because we all take charge of different parts of this plan. And this year, this is just kind of a visual orientation of where we are. Again, we started back in 2019-20 with the planning process. You see a lot of check marks. When we first had this visual, there weren't any check marks, and now we're all the way down in year 3 is the final part of it. So we're just going to focus on year 3, what we've been working on this year. And at the State of the District event in the fall, we'll cover kind of the full gamut of where we've been and where we're going, or I'm sorry, and what we achieved. All right, so let's jump right into it. I'm going to start by turning it over to Mr. Pisani, and he's going to take us through goal 1 and goal 2.
Good evening, President Ishihara, members of the board. This is looking promising. Tonight, as our superintendent just displayed, is a reason for us to take pause and to celebrate the accomplishments that we've been able to attain over the course of the last 3 years, that really focusing on the successes of what we've been able to accomplish in year 3 of the strategic plan. Doesn't mean that there are not things that still need to be worked on, because there certainly is. There are areas of improvement and areas of focus that we know we need to continue to advance. but we're gonna take some pause and be able to, I guess in the spirit of New Haven Day, celebrate, come together, celebrate and recognize our successes. And so for goal one, college, career, and life readiness through teaching and learning, as you know, there are 3 action initiatives. Action initiative, goal 1, action initiative 1, focuses on providing personalized, innovative standards-based curriculum delivered through a variety of pedagogical services or approaches. And so I'm just going to share some of the highlights under this action initiative. The one is the continued implementation of our English Learner Master Plan, which is focusing in the areas of program review, A through G compliance and access, expanding language support classes, and professional development for our staff, TK through 12, on best practices and engagement. We also continue with the expansion of our 2-way dual immersion programs, both at Cyril's Elementary with our Spanish immersion, as well as at Emmanuel Elementary with our Mandarin immersion. We also provided professional development, continuing with the advancement of universal design for learning for our staff, focusing at Cyril's, Hillview Press, and beyond Veracruz over the last year, with a cohort of 25 teachers engaging in that professional development on a monthly basis. At the elementary level, some areas of focus and success is our ability to provide administrators with getting right reading professional development, which really focuses on the science of reading and the approach to foundational literacy practices. We also provided math professional development, specifically to address the implementation of bridges at the math K-5 level. Redevelopment professional development sessions were offered during the course of this year. And a real heavy lift in teaching and learning at the elementary level this year was with the implementation of TWID, the new science curriculum, which is NGSS aligned, and being able to ensure that we provide necessary professional development and support for its implementation. We also provided high dosage tutoring during the day for all kindergarten and first grade students at the elementary sites based on foundational literacy. And these services were provided by early literacy interventions and providing support specifically for our combo classes. Combo classes are particularly complex, and providing support for teachers who take on the responsibility of multi-age classrooms was an area of focus and support as well. Middle and high school this year, we really focus on continuing with the curriculum pilots of a variety of curricular areas in both middle and high school over the course of this year. In looking at Goal 1, Action Initiative 2, which focuses on technology, again, some highlights and some successes that we've had, supporting the secondary staff with expansion and utilization of Canvas, which features, again, in being able to increase engagement for our students and eliminate barriers to learning. Reinvigorating our professional development in technology with the integration of the classrooms. We offered this year 14 after-school professional development sessions, and we had over 100 participants focused on a variety of technology platforms. Happy Numbers, A through Z Learn, RazKids, Book Creator, Imagine Learning in multiple topics and multiple grade levels, Imagine Math, and Illuminate in making assessments focused on high school, just some of those things. And then in looking at Action Initiative 3, which again focuses on assessments, one of the things that we experienced during the COVID times was the absence of assessments being generated through the state, both through the dashboard and with the temporary halting of assessments being administered during the course of the year. And internally within the Division of Learning, we really worked hard to create an assessment system of locally based assessments that would help to guide us in our practices. And so within the division, we created a systemic approach to looking at assessment at specific times of the year with internal assessment data from students from a variety of assessments. And we've modeled that for our site administrators to also engage in those types of processes as well. I think it's one of the, at least for this action initiative, it's one of the hallmarks, because I don't know that while I collaborate with colleagues throughout the area, I don't know that anyone's sort of taken the approach that we did in order to leverage our time during COVID and not lose our ability to be able to ensure that we have an understanding of our students' progress so that we can identify strengths, know where our opportunities are, and provide support and professional development as a result of our student performance. Other activities under Initiative 3, implementing Aries Analytics, again with our new student information system, being able to utilize the feature of analytics to be able to disaggregate student performance in ways that are in real time and are dynamic and that are current. Also developing equity-based gradebooks within Aries for the secondary level that could be available for staff to utilize beginning in 2023-24. So those are a couple of the highlights for goal number 1. Goal number 2, focusing again on equity, access, and achievement. Goal 2, action initiative 1 talks about ensuring inclusive and equitable conditions. As you know, we have developed our equity, access, and achievement department, if we refer to it that way, with our new coordinator of equity, access, and achievement, a counselor, our teachers on special assignment at each of our school site. If you recall, on March 7th at the Nobles, our coordinator gave all of you a mid-year update in terms of the progress of her scope of work. We also, as a highlight, completed our collaboration with Promise 54, which helped to identify 6 specific areas that are going to help to shape our work going forward. Again, those areas focusing on communication and connection, capacity building, strategy, inclusive decision-making and feedback, resources for staff, and talent systems, meaning the 6 domains that have been identified by Promise 54 that will help to shape and guide our work moving forward. We started off the year with our Eliminate Hate campaign, which was implemented in district-wide in each of our schools, and over the course of the year, we transitioned to dignity and belonging as being focused and working through that next steps. And as Ms. Sobel described to you in our previous presentation in March, we're going to be engaging in district-wide professional development focused on equity practices in terms of dignity. At our August 4th Professional Development Day, the entire morning is going to be focused in this area. We developed a comprehensive equity report card over the course of the year, which again were graphic representations of our different groups of students in terms of progress and utilizing multiple measures of assessment. And we conducted equity walks, again, based on site areas of focus over the course of the year at our site council meetings, just coming up in the end of the month. Each of the school sites are preparing to be able to share out their experiences over the course of the year as part of their needs assessment that would then inform their school plans and student achievement, moving forward with our equity work at the site level as well. Cultivating the instructional materials for the board resolutions that were passed over the course of the year falls under this purview as well, which I think has been a great success. And again, it's a repository of resources that we will continue to build upon over the course of several years. But again, I think a highlight is that we created the infrastructure for that repository to continue to be developed over time. Under Zephy's leadership, we also did apply for and received an anti-bias grant of $200,000, which we're going to be working to expand and build upon the capacity of equity work in the district moving forward in 2023 as well. The variety of podcasts, I know that several of us have tuned into podcasts with a variety of staff members, students, district office staff, site level staff, that where students are engaging in ways to engage in equity conversations in a variety of ways. I know that Dr. Thompson and my predecessor, Lee Stevens, had an opportunity to have a most recent podcast focused on equity as well. And again, the Joseph cultivating the notion of dignity and belonging through anti-bias professional development. Zephyr and members of her team and members of the district also have been sharing our equity journey at a variety of professional settings, conferences that were held both within the Bay Area, focused on equity, and most recently down in Anaheim, as we referred to in previous board meetings at the California Association of African American Superintendents and Administrators Conference down in Anaheim as well. With action initiative number 2 under goal 2, Again, that talks about our multi-tiered systems of support. Again, we have our TOSAs for at each of the school sites, helping to focus on tier 1 instruction through the lens of universal design for learning, professional development to support the implementation of our social emotional learning curriculum, Komochis at the elementary school, as well as Character Strong, waypoints at the secondary level. Professional development to teach, but focusing on behavior and discipline. Legal updates and best practices was recently conducted through Marcus Lamb and the People Services Department with our sign administrators as well. And then with action number 3, again, coordinating student support services. Our TOSAs being part of our coordination of services team, the student success teams, our instructional leadership teams, again, creating coherence and alignment and support, really a highlight for this initiative as well. Our family service assistants, which we've committed to provide at each of our school sites, working in collaboration with drop-off prevention specialists, providing outreach to our families to promote school engagement. Our attendance promotion campaign at all of the New Haven sites, strengthening the supports of students and families and the enrollment, student services and family services, all be located on the Barnard campus, sort of that one-stop-shopping approach to coordinate services and eliminate barriers to access. And then launching the Aries Parent Portal, the parent and student and giving them greater access to important student information and data. Providing opportunities for families with special needs to provide a virtual learning series, which was developed by Sarah Kapler in our Special Services Department. And then also participating in Special Olympics. And we do have our Special Olympics event coming up in the very near future as well. And so with that, those are some of the highlights for each of the action initiatives for Goal 1 and for Goal 2. And I'll turn it over to Mayor for Goal 2.
Okay, Goal 3. When Dr. Thompson first approached the cabinet about doing a strategic plan, we were as a district in a bad place at that time. And I know we did a road show where we went around to different schools and it was very uncomfortable. And as you remember, we had a strike and then the pandemic was beginning and it was a really, really difficult time. But it needed to happen for us. And I think the strategic plan, one of the things he said is, in no iteration of the strategic plan will we not have something to do with employee support and how we are going to do things differently. And I think that was always a focus. And one of the things we've had to do for this is, even though I'm the sort of the main person, it really is something that, how do we push it out into the system? And I really do want to thank my staff who really worked hard to help push it out. But in particular, I want to thank Camila Green, who actually is here tonight. And she is this year working with me as a coordinator. All the things we've been doing the last few years, again, I just want to say this at the beginning, she has brought a lot of that stuff to life in ways that I always hoped, but it's just really not the way that I do things. And she has done things in a different way that has been so inspiring for me. It makes me feel good to come to work every day to work with her and having that kind of passion for our employees and our department. It's just something I just wanted to say. One of the things that we also do is a focus of the strategic plan for action initiative 1 was developing transparent communication, particularly with our employees, but really with our labor partners, right? Starting with that, I think if you listen to Yaz speak, one of the things that, and I will say he is absolutely true, one of the things that was really difficult was watching how food service over time with different directors, leadership does make a difference. And man, when he has been in there working under Annette, the amount of progress they have made as a staff is incredible because he listens to his employees, but he also supports them. That's what I mean when we say we push it out. Different ideas we have about having representation, doing things to celebrate your employees. People like Yaz, people like principals, they take that very seriously and they do it their own way. That we provide a framework for the leaders in our district to support their staff, but they figure out ways that their staff can really tailor to the needs of their staff. So we're really happy about that. As you notice on this first action initiative, a lot of the stuff we did at the very beginning of the process, including the union labor partners in any kind of major decisions, especially in hiring. While we did that, a form of that in the past, I would say, hey, let's pick some teachers to be on a panel. The deliberate difference is having the union actually select. And that's something that Dr. Thompson said, you know what, I really think this is something we should try. And you know what? Even though there are some things I was a little scared to try that, it really is something that pays a lot of dividends because the union is really at the table with us, making decisions and then really living together with those decisions because we did it together. And I think that's paid real, like I said, dividends, but it's really been important for me in my relationship with them, with the teachers and with the sites. I do think that they feel more supported and also more heard. One of the things that I mentioned earlier about what Camila has done is in the Title IX process, in COVID communications, being more deliberate, but also in doing it in the way we communicate that people really understand. Working through Victor and John Mattis's department on how they can put things out there on social media is something we've never done before. But doing that has made a real difference for the HR department in how we actually can get this word and these messages out. On number 2, retaining and attracting the workforce. One of the things that we talked about last year was how do we create something that is going to celebrate staff again? We didn't do it for a long time for lots of reasons, but Joe and Robin started thinking, you know what? Yes, I think it's time. And then again, with Camila this year, one of the things we've talked about is how do we do, and what we've named is Cheers for the Years. The recognition event is going to be on May 18th. And having people recognized for their years of service from 5 years in the system all the way to 40, doing retirees also at the very end is a way to bring people together in a way we haven't done in a few years. We're really excited about that. Having a magazine, having the Employee of the Year process again, which we haven't done in a while. That's going to be something exciting. And then having something we routinely do. Camila puts out an actual newsletter every month talking about the successes, things that are going on in the system from a personnel standpoint, and that's really been something that's been really received well. One of the things that principals listening to, they really felt that we need more paras in the system. We need more positions like food service. So one of the things we did, Camila and I did a job fair that she organized over at Cyril's, where she and I organized it, principals and other directors and other managers helped, and it was really successful. We had a lot of people show up. Surprisingly, a lot of people show up, and actually we got a lot of hits and a lot of people we hired from that process. So that was really, and something we want to look forward in the future. We just wanted to try it. Kind of a Raquel Leon over Bocage over at Cyril said, why don't we do it? A lot of foot traffic here at Cyril, a lot of neighborhood people want to actually come in. So we tried it there first, real successful, and we're going to be doing things like that in the future. One of the things that also came up is the county does a para test. Most districts don't do it at their own district. We now took the para test, learn how to administer it, do it, and then we work with adult school so that they actually have a class, and you've heard this before, where they help them to pass the math portion of that test. So trying to get more people actually in the system who are qualified to do the work, because people do want to work. A lot of them just can't do it. As Yaz was saying, even in food service, that helping them pass the test was a big extra step that we're taking. And then the last thing on this is we're actually working with Frontline to do this new onboarding system that will make new employees come to the system. It'll be good for HR, but also and for payroll, but also for the new employees. They can do a lot of it, just like School Mint, a lot of it, so they don't have to sit and do a lot of paperwork here. They can do it online, so when they walk in, they're already done. So that's going to be another thing to make it easier and better for our employees. The last thing, I know this is being a big focus for Mark Slam and his staff, and also for Camila, is the staff wellness. Doing a lot of things, whether it's a Wellness Wednesday, doing a lot of things with the employee assistance programs, getting the word out. Many employees have been contacting HR with, hey, I need to take leave, I need support. Way more than I've ever experienced in HR, and I've done it for almost 20 years. And so there is definitely a need for this, and it's something that I feel really good that we do provide a level of support that we've never done before, and always trying to figure out, and I know Camila is really good about exploring different ways to support our employees, listening and figuring out ways to actually get information to find out who needs what. So that's been really something we're real proud of this year. So again, thank you to the staff, the principals, and everybody else, because it's not just HR doing it, it's everybody in the system. Thank you. Okay, goal 4 is our community outreach, engagement, and advocacy goal. And really it's the path for this year's work was laid in the past few years, and it's just kind of expanding and fine tuning. For example, our first area, aligning our communication systems, You probably, if you follow us on social media, if you follow our newsletters, if you follow everything we've been doing, they're much more aligned. Our websites are now all integrated and linked together. We've added, every year we've added something. We added Canvas. This year we added Aries. And that's all part of the goal to create this integrated ecosystem that really helps our systems be aligned and consistent across all of our platforms. So that's been, Aries this year was the big move this year. And this one we've been working on for 3 years as well, and trying to create a consistent image and consistent messaging. And we started with, 3 years ago, with some very fundamental things. We're down this year, where one of the big moves we made was to, at a communication advocacy committee, really, we did a lot of work on this. But you'll see, this is an example of some of the work that we've done, where now each of our school sites has new logos that have been refreshed in a format that, although they're unique to each school, there's consistency across the different logo structure. So this is the type of thing we're talking about when we're talking about creating that consistent imagery. And again, kudos to our communication advocacy committee for really driving this work. And then as far as providing experiences, and we're always looking for ways to improve customer service and create friendly experiences for families. But on the engagement side, and really drawing our families into our schools, our big event this year was, of course, New Haven Day. And wow, I thought it was a tremendous success. And that's because of all the hard work of the staff members, our student performers, our everybody came together, our music teachers and performing arts teachers, our staff, the support staff. What a great event. And again, this is an example, probably the biggest example of the type of work that we've been doing in this area. And this is new this year. And I think we're stuck with it. I think it's going to be, it was the first annual and or the first that didn't become, I think. And then I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Okay, so goal 5 talks about our effective allocation and management of our resources and how we can responsibly and, responsible and sustainable operations. Of course, this deals with all of our resources. Big chunk of that, of course, is our finances, facilities and finances. So most of you know that under the Business Services Department, we have construction, modernization, implementation of the bond program. We have the maintenance, operations, and transportation, of course, led by Jason Rogers. You heard, yes, a little bit ago, that's food and nutrition services. And of course, we have our fiscal services, which encompasses many systems, including purchasing, accounting, accounts payable, and of course, a big thing, very important for all of us, is the payroll department. So you talk about systems, we have those in, I think of it as we're all in different places, but at the end of the day, everything has to connect because there's just no other way for it to work. And we talk about, I think of that similar to our strategic plan as a district, how that feeds into the overall district plan, which of course is the LCAP led by Mr. Kazani. And what we do in terms of that connection is making sure that that drives the allocation and the use of our resources, which is why this time of year, we pull our hair because it's that time of year when we develop all of these and making sure that they talk to one another. This is like a depiction of what that looks like. There's different pieces to that puzzle, but they can't operate on their own. It has to all blend in together. The alignment is that critical. And it's not just our choice, it's legislature, but we're also, there's different layers of oversight agency that looks at us in terms of what we do with our resources and how the budget tells our story in terms of what our priorities are. We have the county oversight, of course, ACOE, and then we have an independent audit that happens 2 times a year. And then we have the state department, and then we have the state controller's office. So there's a lot of these different layers, which is why it's important that all of these make sense and connect to one another.
oops, I need to read this right. So yeah, it's aligning those systems with regards to our goals as a district and different areas that we operate. So action initiative, so I'm gonna spend a little bit of time here because while I sort of used this visual at the last update, there are something here that I really want to call out. Not too long ago, we did a reassessment or we revisited our bond program implementation. And the important thing to take away from that is the fact that we are keeping our promise to our taxpayers and our voters who supported us in Measure M. So that's the result of that session that we held not too long ago. We looked at all well, first of all, we're implementing what we promised to our voters and looking at the resources that we have and pulling together other resources that we have. Because the reality is the need will always be 5 times greater than our ability to raise those local funds. So we looked at the tier 1 needs, you know, where we are that were not necessarily addressed specifically in the bond, but they would enhance and they would meet the goal and they would meet the promise that we made. So we did that work in that session and we're looking at implementing some of those tier 1 needs, if I may. In the last few years, especially because of COVID, I want to talk about budget stability. There's a lot of one-time dollars and they're still coming, although they're starting to taper off. One of the things that we do, especially in executive cabinet, is we look at these because, you know, they're one time. After 3 years, they're gone. So we are very mindful and in planning how that is going to, you know, give us the most bang for our buck based on the purpose of those funds and how do we, moving forward, how do we sustain those programs that we did? It's a shame that sometimes, you know, the state gives us all these one-time monies, you're so excited, you want to start something, and then it's done, and then the resources die. So it's really up to us to make sure that those connect and we get the most bang for our buck, and we can actually sustain a lot of those programs that we continue. And of course, a lot of what you see here are things that we started in the last round. We're finally, after 2 years of going out for bid, we're finally able to now start the security surveillance system. Phase 1 is at Logan. We are doing a district-wide upgrade of all our HV, well, not all, but what we can afford based on what we have, but the most in need of upgrading of our HVAC system. You know, you talk about air quality, which became very, you know, a hot topic and a very prevalent topic with regards to COVID-19. Automation and less paper initiatives. I've been talking about this. I know you heard Mr. McNamara talk about the onboarding process. That's one example of what we do in that. We're trying to leverage a lot of what the systems that we have, for example, our financial systems. The county is rolling out more and more modules or components in that system that would allow us to use less paper, that would allow us to go electronic. I know that at the last update, I shared that we are also, I mean, we have room, especially at Barnard White, with boxes and boxes of old files. So we address those and we, I think we've made a big dent in terms of the archiving project that we did. And let's see what else. Yeah, I talked about the relocation of central kitchen. Why that's important is it ties to a big effort that we did a few years ago when we facilitated a 7-Eleven committee. And a 7-Eleven committee helped us in terms of assessing our underused and in some cases unused facilities so that we could turn them into ongoing stream of revenue for us. Right now, because of that work that guided us in that, we are receiving over 1.1 million in revenues from these facilities and I mean, perhaps the only one positive thing about a declining enrollment is we have space. So, but we're not just leaving it there unused, right? It's costing money. So because of that, we were able to turn those things around. Let's see, I think there's a lot of things that I didn't fit there, so I don't want to, I have it here. I want to make sure I address them as well. You heard earlier comments about a new work order system. That's also something that would affect the entire system and our end users. That work is currently going on. And, there have been programs that, just like with anything else, sometimes they made sense at the time that they were implemented. And we took time in reviewing certain things like our Vandal Watch program. That's something that also we are making changes to. Employee time cards, for example, I mentioned about leveraging our current systems that we already paid for, might as well maximize the use of them. So there's a lot going on in there, and I wanted to make sure that I highlighted those that are happening. You'll see them, some of them not so visual, but they are happening behind the scenes. And I wanted to share some of those pictures in terms of the projects, the solar project at Pioneer and Searles, I mean, that's massive. And when we ventured into this as part of the Measure and Bond program, it cut our energy costs into half. I mean, that's something that, because of the support of our taxpayers now, we're able to turn that around, and the money we are generating are helping us in our general fund. And our action initiative 3, which is stabilizing our enrollment, that really is across many efforts. And I see there, I show there that it really is a team, you know, different departments play a role in this. You know, we have those awesome programs at Searles and Emmanuel. They brought in students from outside of our district, so that is helping start. 1 year may not be good data, enough data, but it's starting, or at least for this year, there's a reversal in our, or a decline in the decline of our enrollment. Because in the last 5 years, when you look at it, we've been averaging a decline of 260 students. But this year, the CalPAS reporting, the decline is 214. It's still a decline, so, but it's a better number than what we anticipated, starting the year. So we've done a lot in terms of our facilities, thanks to our Measure M supporters, community outreach. For those of you who are at the New Haven Day, that's one way that we could highlight, you know, the best things about our district, facilities being one of them. And on that note, I do want to say that we, I think of it as a report card to our taxpayers, to our community. There will be a release of the first of 8 series of video. And again, it's one of those that would highlight the best things that we do and our, you know, New Haven, our schools, our facilities. Stay tuned for that first series of video. For those of you who may not have been here, then this is a 3-year project. I brought forward that contract report, I think, right before the pandemic, and of course, everything was haywire for 2.5 years. Last fall, we reignited that project, and the filming happened back in January. So I'm very excited that those can be rolled out pretty soon. And that concludes Goal 5.
Okay, well, that's about it. So what's coming next is we'll have a state of the district breakfast where we'll invite all of our community partners, the board, everybody else, and that's slated right now for Thursday, September 7th, 9 a.m. And that'll be a full look back at where we were and where we ended up with the first round of our strategic plan. We'll also hopefully at that meeting be sharing some draft goals for the new strategic plan. So if you take a look on the right-hand side there, you'll see that where we're at for the new strategic plan process, we have a lot of data. We have a survey that's been going out annually for a while, and that has, it basically, these were the highlights. We'll also find out from that survey where we're falling down, where we haven't, what are the things that we still need to improve on. I mean, this is a continuous process. So we'll take all of that, put it together, do some work this summer to put together some draft goals, share them with the board at the first board meeting in August, and get more feedback. And then we go through a vetting process throughout the fall, hopefully ending up with the board adopting new goals for the next 3-year strategic plan. If all goes well, that'll happen in December 2023. So that's where we've been this year and where we're heading next year. That's that.
All right. Any comments from any folks on the board? Trustee Allen.
Yes, I wrote so many notes, there was, I think, 3 pages of notes just on this, so. One question. When is the special Olympics event? And can we attend it?
And you can, and it is, I think it's this Friday.
Yeah.
This Friday at 9, it gets started, I think it's about 9:30, by 10 o'clock it's going.
How long will it go?
And it goes until about noon. I think.
Okay, other than that, it really is nice to see how far we. I mean. Oh my goodness, it's been a lot. You know, when. Before I was on the board, when I saw the strike, which is one of the things that inspired my run for board to get more involved. We were in a totally different place than we are now, and we've just been steamrolling straight ahead at a very great pace and making good progress, and I just have to say, thank you for all your hard work to all of our staff, all of our teachers, admin, support staff, everyone, for being so focused and so tenacious in achieving the goals. I've really been impressed to see the focus on every single goal that we set. And every time we hear a report, we hear how does that affect our goals. And keeping them at the forefront has really allowed us to make so much progress and be so efficient and so tenacious about reaching those goals and to not get distracted by other things. And I think that that is amazing and wonderful. And I hope that as we go forward, that we keep that focus and we continue to always strive for better for our students. You know, it can be hard to always look at the weak points, but we always remember that it's because of our students and because of our passion for education that we continue to strive and set our goals really high. So it really is, thank you for this presentation. It was a lot of hard work, I know it was. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Ray.
Thanks so much for this really impressive presentation, and like all the goals, amazing how all the goals that the phase were all met. And thanks Scott, Derek, Zeta, Camila, Yaz, John, Annette for all the hard work and for meeting all the goals. Thank you.
Vice President Moore.
Well, thank you so much for that presentation. It was really great. It was so nice to see the amazing collaborative effort that it is to deliver a quality education and a great experience for our students. So thank you for that. I did have a comment and a question. My comment was on goal 1, action initiative 2. Scott, I just wanted to let you know, more and more teachers used Canvas last year compared to the year before. And I think a lot of that is attributed probably to the professional development that you referred to. So thanks for doing that. That's great. And then I had a question about goal 3, action initiative 2. So, you know, we're trying to retain and attract the workforce, but you know, there are several classes in Logan that are unstaffed, and we have to, you know, we use online programs for those classes. And I personally actually do understand the challenges, but I wanted to hear from you, what do you think the biggest challenge is? Why do we have a hard time finding staff? And I know a few classes, Spanish, bio, and French are some examples, but what's the biggest challenge?
Yeah, for most classes and most like multiple subject and most like social science, English, those are usually okay. But some of the specialty ones, specialized classes, and then something like chemistry, even biology, when it's mid-year and someone goes out or a foreign language like French or even Spanish, when it's mid-year, the competition is so much higher now around the district and around the county that those particularly are difficult. So if you don't get them locked in March, then it's really difficult. So as soon as March 15th happens and we start doing the release letters and hiring people back, Camila works with the principals to hire people back immediately. Like she's done almost every single hire already for next year. already, and the principals are really have to be on it. So in those cases in Logan especially, where there's someone falls off, someone resigns mid-year, a lot of that has happened in the last year, not just here, but other places. Really difficult. So my own niece is in one of those classes that had a long-term sub, and then they went to like some kind of online thing for biology, and it's like, she's complaining to me all the time, I know, I'm sorry. So, but it is something that's real, but it is something it is those specialty, especially the science positions that are a challenge, so. Not an easy answer yet.
Right, thank you,
Hiring early.
and thank you for all your hard work.
Okay, so thank you, staff. There was so much good work in there. One thing that I'd like to do, I noticed that there was a talk track that Scott Pisani used. If you wouldn't mind sharing the talk track, that actually had a lot of detail in there that would actually help us kind of like tease some things apart. Be helpful just to kind of, because you went through that really, really fast. There's a lot of stuff in there. So thank you so much. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the talking points are
Yeah.
embedded in the notes of the slide deck.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, all right. I had an idea. That's why. Okay. All right, great. And then, no, that's all I have. Great. Anything else that you want to add?
I just wanted to point out that we have a great staff that works really hard on implementing these goals, but one of the reasons why we've been able to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish is because the 5 of you have been unwavering and supported our efforts. And that doesn't mean blind support, it means asking big questions and holding us accountable for what we're doing, but really, it doesn't happen without the board support. So thank you for that. And this year is another example of having the board fully behind our efforts. So thank you. On sharing the slide deck with the comments for you now.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, just a second. My computer's not loading. Okay, so. This is. Okay. Okay, let's. See here. There's no public input. Okay. All right, moving on to 11.1. We have required quarterly reports regarding complaints filed under the Williams consent procedure. Is there anything to report? Nothing to report. Okay. Moving on to 11.2, items from the board of superintendent. We'll start off over here. Got anything? Otherwise, we'll just pass.
There's like a lot of the school years, school year events happening as the school year is ending. So obviously we have a new paper day. I unfortunately wasn't able to go due to our religious celebration, but I've heard that was a great success. So yeah, and then this weekend we had our prom at the San Francisco Galleria, and it was a beautiful venue and a great time. Decision day for seniors was yesterday, May 1st. So as many seniors committed to their respective colleges, and so we celebrated their accomplishments. And we also had a few colleges and organizations stable in court, which I think I mentioned a little bit last week. Leadership organized a field trip for a few Logan Club representatives to go to the middle schools this year, and that took place today and will take place tomorrow for CCMS. So just to inform them more about the club that Logan has to offer and help them transition. The Special Olympics is Friday, May 5th, so this Friday, and I believe it's from 9:45 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's how it's scheduled. And then other than that, just a few like banquet events. I'll just briefly go over them if any of you are interested. So we have the Puente banquet on Thursday, May 11th at 6 p.m. The honors convocation is May 18th. May 19th is the leadership banquet, and then I think ICL celebration is also happening at the same time at 6 p.m. The grad night for seniors will take place after graduation, so that's May 30th to 31st. And then, so the week of May 22nd, there's a lot of senior activities happening as senior finals will be done the week before, so we're still planning a lot of it. Last year's.
Trustee Malinsky.
New Haven Day was amazing. I tried to stay as long as I could. The food trucks were plentiful and the food was delicious and our students were are so talented, it's ridiculous. I mean, all our folklore dancers, our ballet folklorico are like top-notch professional level dancers. I cannot say enough wonderful things about them. All of our little choirs were adorable, and our little dancers and our little percussion teams and our junior high school band and choir sounded amazing. And I mean, it was great. And it was also great to mix with different community organizations. I got to talk with a lot of people, get some feedback from different groups, different parents. It was just all in all, just an amazing day to mix with everybody and see all the things that we work for and see all of that, the fruits of our labors, in a completely different way. So everyone was asking me, are we doing this next year? So it was a huge hit. And of course, I said, yes, it's the first annual. We completely plan on doing this next year and every year after that, as long as we can. So that was wonderful. And I do look forward to attending all the end of the year events. And that's it for me.
Okay, Trustee Renee.
I'm definitely not going to miss New Haven Day next year. I miss this, yes, like you miss a whole lot. So, and looking forward to celebrating seniors on the 17th of this month. On the scholarship function, it will be looking forward to that and a lot of other events that are happening. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Gonzalez.
I want to talk about, real quick, the organization, Teach Plus and the experience I had. So what is Teach Plus? Their mission statement is, the mission of Teach Plus is to empower excellent, experienced, and diverse teachers to take leadership over key policy and practice issues that advance equity, opportunity, and student success. So if you check their website, there's a lot of feel-good phrases on their statements, equity-driven teacher leadership. So it seems very progressive, but it's not though. So I have a different, I was in LA 18 years and we had some of the biggest charter growth there. And so if you tell your average educator in LA, they'll kind of cringe on Teach Plus, but something here in LA or something in the Bay Area is a little different. And so what does that have to do with New Haven? We need good admin or principals. And so a current staff or a future staff, in New Haven might be seduced by this and want to join this organization, but please do not drink the Kool-Aid. My experience in LA was horrific. And really what it is the NastroTurf grassroots organization. They're really pushing a corporate privatization movement of public education, pushing the charter movement. If you follow the money, you kind of tell exactly who they are, what their value is. The money's going, a bunch of hedge fund managers, and they're really pushing the anti-union, anti-seniority based layoffs, merit pay, and some of those things. So the reason why I bring this up is one time my dream job, I killed the interview, and then got a phone call, and the principal goes, "We love you, you're great, we want to hire you." And then he mentioned, hey, I have Teach Plus, and that's what they did a lot, though. They try to seduce you. Hey, we got a free, we'll do a presentation. We got a free meal, beautiful dinner we're gonna provide. And so he said, I'm inviting all the educators. We're having a Teach Plus event, free dinner. They're really progressive and this and that. And then right there, it connoted or it gave me that cringe feeling of what all the things they did in LA. And so I told them I respectfully declined the position. I'm not gonna be with a principal who has these values or cannot see through what this organization is really about. And so shame on any New Haven employee who doesn't see or doesn't do their homework and see what their true values and see what they're really behind. So we don't want to associate ourselves with that. And so this is why I bring it up. So be cautious of this Teach Plus organization in our district.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Moore.
So I want to congratulate Superintendent Thompson and his team for a very successful New Haven Day. It was wonderful. To me, just seeing the community out there and to see the progression that our students go through was really nice. We saw the little ones doing their choir and band, it was so cute, and then it went on to the middle schools and the high schoolers. Oh wow! And just to know that all of that comes out of our schools, I think that was great. It takes a lot, Dr. Thompson, to put together such an event. So of course, our team did a lot, but it also takes a lot to lead this effort. So thank you for doing that. And then speaking of New Haven Day, I co-chaired the fun run, and I'm really happy to share that we had a record number of participants this year. We had 100% increase in participants. I just wanted to thank the community. Thank you for supporting this great cause, and I hope to see you next year.
All right. So I also want to pile on New Haven Day. Wow, it's really interesting that we have been talking about it for a little while, and this year we just did it. Now, it just goes to show that kind of acting and jumping in with 2 feet, even though we don't know exactly what could possibly go wrong. Maybe it'll rain, but you ordered good weather. The weather was really good. The weather delivered. But it was more important that we just put a step forward and actually get something out there. And what we put out there was simple, but it was very, very impactful, I thought. And I think it was a great first step, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it develops. Hats off to Vice President Kumar. Not only she's underselling herself. The amount of work that I witnessed her do on behalf of the foundation for the fun run was phenomenal. I've been on the foundation for years, and I've never worked as hard as she has, and she's only been on the foundation for a few months, right? So whatever. It's an amazing amount of work. Okay, so New Haven Day. I think you're getting a nod. That's a good thing. We should keep doing it. This year, my youngest daughter is a senior at James Logan, so we're looking forward to a lot of last things, like we just had the last prom. We're going to be going through the last graduation with her, last honors convocation. So all the things that are happening in May for this board is going to be, as a parent on the school board, this is the last thing with, the last set of things with my kids. So looking quite bittersweet on that. May the 4th, in addition to the Star Wars Day, is also the Union City Family Center is having their 10-year anniversary. I plan on being there with my wife. I'm not sure what hat I'm going to have on, whether I'm going to have my school board hat on or a nonprofit hat on, but I'll be there. There's for those of you who have not yet taken Masters in Governance. I did talk to the superintendent and a couple board members from the Fremont Union School District, which is in Cupertino. They're going to be putting on a Master in Governance training very, very soon. So you don't have to go all the way to Santa Cruz if you want to do it closer. So anybody who isn't already signed up for Master in Governance, you can do that. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because, I just wanted to kind of give you folks an idea of, I just got back from Washington, D.C. on a federal coast federal advocacy trip sponsored by AXA and CSBA. I attached a report to board docs. Oh yeah, there it is right there. I wasn't planning on presenting it to the board. Thanks for putting it up there. And so, I won't go through all of it. You can go through the background at your leisure, basically about what it is, what the priorities are, that CSBA and Accel wanted us to move forward with. We moved over to the delegation and we focused on 3 primary areas. One is to fulfill the special education funding promise. The second one, and here, really what it comes down to is the IDEA Act of 1975 promised to fund the federal mandates of special education at a point of 40%. They are not currently doing that. They're anywhere between 7 and 10% nationally. We ran the numbers, and if the district actually, if the federal government actually did fund to the full 40%, we would have an additional $18 million. This district would have an additional $18 million in our budget. So there's a lot of things that are going on right now. We did talk to Congressman Swalwell. That was kind of the whole point of the trip, was to talk to Congressmember Swalwell. This was one area. He did agree, and he let us know that there is actually legislation at the federal level currently in play, called sponsored by Congressman Huffman from California, and it's called the let's see here, fully fund. It's actually on the report. That's it currently in committee. It seems to have bipartisan support, but that will, over the course of 10 years, ramp us up to 40%. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, because what that means is the less money that we have to encroach on our general fund, the more that we can do other things within the school district. We also focused on President Corey Angelus's point around mental health prevention services as something that we want to delve into very deeply, but we don't really necessarily have a funding source for it. Secretary Becerra from the Health and Human Services gave an address to the general session. In it, he mentioned that there is a move by the federal government to create technical assistance workshops to help school districts bill Medicaid directly. In which case that could become an additional funding source for, to fund our mental health, some of our mental health activities. That's one. And then the third area that we focused on, it was a very fast 30 minutes, is we wanted to talk a little bit about about protecting schools and students' data, privacy, and cybersecurity. Fremont Unified explained to the congressman about they recently had an intrusion that they had to pay over $800,000 out of their general fund to remediate, and it was actually just it was an intrusion whereby the intruder played basically rickrolled some of the PA systems and actually played Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley on the PA systems, and that little prank cost about $800,000. And so bottom line is, we talked to Congressman Swalwell, who is on the Homeland Security Committee, as well as the ranking member of the subcommittee on cybersecurity. He's very interested in kind of partnering with us, and his district office is putting together a cybersecurity, I think it's like a drill or a simulation in the next, and probably in the next quarter or two. And we would love it if maybe New Haven participate in that, and as soon as we get more details on it, I will forward it to you. That's all I have to say about the federal advocacy trip. Thank you all for allowing me to go. I thought it was a very useful thing, and I'd like to continue sending somebody from this board to DC every year. That concludes my report.
I just wanted to thank President Nishinaru for representing our district at this event, and also thank you so much for this comprehensive report back. This is great.
Yeah, I'll be sending this report back to the congressman, as well as our partners at CSBA, as well as the other members of the delegation.
Yeah, thanks for, I think it's the first time I'm aware of having a representative go, so that's great. Thank
Well, it's only the second year.
So there you go. All right, and I agree with you also, President Nishinaru, that the New Haven Day, and it was a lot of great things, but it was also a great collaboration between the school foundation and the district. And it's no coincidence that the number of participants in the fun run was higher than it's ever been, because I watched the work that Vice President Kumar did, and it was, that was a lot of work. So thank you for that. It was a great partnership. All right, a couple quick things. This week is Certificated Employee Appreciation Week. We're talking to our teachers, counselors, psychologists, all of the certificated employees that are working with our kids every day. So thank you for everything you do. It really is, I have the privilege of being in classrooms almost every day, and I see the hard work, and we really appreciate what you do. So thank you, all the certificated employees out there that are helping our kids. Next week's Classified Employee Appreciation Week. We'll recognize them then, but we won't have a board meeting between now and then. So we'll definitely appreciate them as well during that time. A little bit of good news. We have, as you know, Ms. Feldman shared with you previously, that we're about to release our last part of our Measure N bond. We're going to put them up for sale. Prior to that, we go through a rating process, and Ms. Feldman prepared all of the work. I was there just more watching, but part of what they look at is, what are you doing? This is Moody's coming in, the bond rating company. What are you doing to keep your budget fiscally sound? How are you? They're really worried about defining enrollment. And so normally, and all the years I've been involved with bonds one way or the other, I can't remember a time where a bond rating went up. And we went from a double A 3 to a double A2. And what that means is we have gone up into a higher level fine rating for our bonds, and which is really fantastic. What it ultimately means is that it means our community that supported us in this bond has to pay less. And so we get, and that's a great thing for our community. And that's a tribute to Ms. Feldman's hard work to really work with that community. That Moody's, they're tough. And we were able to convince them, most of the Feldman, that we deserved a higher rating, and we got it. I've never seen that before. So that's really good news. That's it for me.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on to 12.1, report from the Finance, Technology, and Facilities. Do we have a report?
We have a meeting coming up soon.
Okay. All right, moving on to 12.2, report from the Communication and Advocacy Committee. The committee already read out from our April 13th meeting, and our next meeting is on May 11th. All right, do we have a report from the policy review?
May 31st.
May 31st, okay. Other committee reports, anybody, foundation?
I have nothing for expert this time.
Nothing for excellent, okay.
We have the scholarship luncheon coming up on May 17th at Logan, and we hope to see most of you there. Not everyone. That's pretty much it for getting over the fun run and just geared toward the scholarship luncheon at this point. Our next meeting, May 22nd.
All right. Moving on to action items, we're on to 13.1. May I have a motion and a second to approve the MOU with Allegheny County Office of Education for Tobacco Use Prevention Education Program?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Moving on to 3.2, may I have a motion and a second to approve the contract between Get Your Teach On and Guy Emmanuel Elementary School for 23-24?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Being done, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. May I have a motion and a second to approve the revised calendar for regular board meetings for the 23-24 school year?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I just want to make sure that we're not having any major meetings or events on any religious holidays next year. We checked, right? Okay.
To our knowledge, we looked and there, I think we're okay.
Definitely not having you hang in the meeting next year.
No, it's not. Well,
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions, motion carries. All right, moving on to the consent agenda item, the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member would like to hold for a separate vote? All right, seeing none, may I have a motion and a second to approve items 14.1 to 14.6?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we're going to be we're going to be skipping 15. And then on to 16.1, assessment of government procedures and protocols. Any comments? Okay, good. All right, I think there's still a little bit of the, oh yes,
I don't do well with that. Surprise, but usually I know everything that's going on, so I'm sure the sleepy ones were, but just wanted to thank you for the recognition. I was really caught off guard by everything, so when you asked me if I'm gonna say something, I'm rarely speechless, as most of my friends are. I just want to let you know that it's been a pleasure to work in the district and to serve the board and the many other department trustees for as long as I've been here. As well as Superintendent Thompson. This is a job that comes with a lot of support from many others to make my position successful. My boss, Superintendent Thompson, has been amazing to work with. He's wise beyond his years of experience as a superintendent. And he's also pretty trainable. So it's a job I highly recommend. And I know that Jean will be fantastic. And just thank you so much for the recognition tonight. I will miss everybody here. Thank you.
okay, outstanding. All right, moving on to 17.1, board requests. Okay, Vice President Martin.
Thank you. At the last board meeting, I requested to look into moving the distribution of schedules for Logan a little earlier, and I believe Superintendent Thompson had an update a couple of days ago. I was wondering if you could share it with the community, please.
Yes, so the plan this year is to make the week prior to school starting at Logan, the student schedule available through Aries. And then if people want a hard copy or want to come in so that they can come to the orientation session to be able to have a hard copy of their schedule there too. I imagine most people will probably use Aries, but it's that both options will be available.
Great, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, then, seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.